Hello there. The woke left will now point at California and warn that the UK must not enforce its borders in a Trump-like manner, or else civil unrest will happen here too. It's already started. The Mexican flag-waving illegal immigrants in the sanctuary city of LA in California and their useful woke idiots are being portrayed by much of the UK mainstream media, like the BBC, as mere protesters, not rioters. And is the way this is playing out in the US, illegals and their supporters against the rest, how it could play out in the UK? In LA, some are protesting against an evil Trump regime that wants to shock horror enforce US borders to keep the country safe and solvent. It all started over the weekend when US Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE, started operations in California to round up illegal immigrants for deportation. And it all kicked off with the illegals and their woke ganging up against the authorities in an attempt to halt proceedings. So Trump sent in the National Guard to protect the authorities while they do their legal job. And ICE is doing the very thing Trump promised would happen and got voted in to achieve. And because hard-left woke protesters always think they are the only ones that are right, they feel entitled to adopt their first and last response of instigating violence. And that's what they did, just like they do in the UK, while vilifying people who use hurty words against them on social media. And the Democratic Party California Governor Gavin Newsom has done his best to undermine Trump by claiming there are enough law enforcement assets on the ground in his state to deal with any riots. Although a CBS poll from yesterday shows 54% of people support the Donald. Now, just a really short interjection. If you like what we do on this channel, please become a member for less than the price of a pint a month by pressing the join button or following the link in the descriptions box below. Now, I personally think that what Newsom really means is, butt out Trump and let me fill the state with whoever I want to, whatever the collateral damage. But Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, threatened that even elected politicians will be arrested if they interfered in ICE's efforts to enforce the law. And Homan did not rule out arresting Governor Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass if they got in the way. I'm telling you what, we're going to keep enforcing law every day in LA, Homan said. Every day in LA, we're going to enforce immigration law. I don't care if they like it or not. He also reiterated that by saying, I'll say it about anybody. You cross that line. It's a felony to knowingly harbour and conceal an illegal alien. It's a felony to impede law enforcement doing their job. And he also said that if this protest of violence continues, someone will get hurt or even die. That's just a cold fact of life, he said. And he also said about Newsom, if he cared about public safety in the state of California, he would not have a sanctuary for criminals, where criminals get released to the street in this state every day because of his policy. And Newsom has replied by taunting Homan with a statement on X saying, Trump's border czar is threatening to arrest me for speaking out. Come and get me, tough guy. I don't give a damn. It won't stop me from standing up for California. I think he means standing up for the non-US citizens who live illegally in California. Newsom also said that he and his officials were there to keep the peace, not play Trump's political games. But keeping the peace is always a cover phrase used within the woke establishment to frustrate efforts to enforce borders and the like. Like in the UK, where they use that phrase to ensure the pro-Hamas marches are always left undisturbed. But what also gets me is that the illegals from Mexico who went to California supposedly to start a new, better life wave their national flags in defiance. Makes you question their real motives, doesn't it? Almost makes you ask if it's Mexicans trying to take over parts of the US, doesn't it? Now, if you are a hard-left, woke, anti-Trump, pro-open borders type who hates your own country, then you might want to skip the next bit. Now, the woke have been quick to screech, January the 6th Capitol riots, in response to anyone who they perceive to be from the right because they are criticising this California rioting, as if that somehow justifies their violence. And they talk about all the deaths on January the 6th. I expect you've seen them in the various comment sections of the newspapers. Now, the truth there is that 4 people died during the events of January the 6th. According to factcheck.org, 1 died as a result of acute amphetamine intoxication, 2 died naturally from heart conditions, and only 1 was shot. And that person was unarmed female Ashley Babbitt, a US Air Force veteran who was shot by a police officer. But much was made of a Paraforce folding knife she had in her pocket. And had she not been white, though, the narrative surrounding this may have been completely different. Here's what the US Committee on House Administration said in a press release in September last year. Committee on House Administration's Subcommittee on Oversight Chairman Barry Loudermilk revealed that days before January the 6th, 2021, President Trump met with senior Pentagon leaders, urging them to do their jobs to protect lives and property. The transcripts released show Trump gave senior Pentagon leadership directives to keep January the 6th peaceful, including using the National Guard, which the Pentagon leaders ignored. So when people screech about the death and destruction of the January the 6th so-called insurrection, don't believe the anti-Trump rhetoric. The left sowed the seeds for that one, and they've sown the seeds for California to descend further into violence. This is the result of decades of normalising illegal immigration and the burgeoning underground economy that services it. Until they are too large for the authorities to challenge without the risk of violence, and that is where parts of the US, the UK and the EU are right now. Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching.